2014, 2015 to launch Purple WiFi, okay, Purple WiFi. And again, doing super well there. They've passed 17,000 venues have installed at least one access point with over 80,000 access points. Average access point is 11, 12, 13 bucks per month. So they're doing between 800 grand and $1 million in MRR. Growing, this year they'll grow, we call it 140% year over year. Gross churn monthly is about 1%, but they have net negative revenue churn. Payback period is always aiming for less than 12 months, but some of his good fit customers, lifetime value, he's projecting at well over $100,000 with his team of 100 in Manchester, UK, fighting hard to make your public Wi-Fi connections easier.
This is The Top, where I interview entrepreneurs who are number one or number two in their industry in terms of revenue or customer base. You'll learn how much revenue they're making, what their marketing funnel looks like, and how many customers they have.
I'm now at $20,000 per talk.
5 and 6 million.
He is hell-bent on global domination.
We just broke our 100,000 units sold mark.
And I'm your host, Nathan Latka.
This is episode 749. Coming up tomorrow morning, you're going to learn from Makita Mikado, and he's going to talk us through how to 3x your customer revenue. And the way he did it at PandaDoc, so they could be more than just a document signing company. Hello, everybody. My guest today is Gavin Wielden. With over 15 years experience working in technology-led or enabled businesses, Gavin has a deep understanding of the impact technology can have on the bottom line of an organization. He recently sold his last business, Applied Language Solutions, a global language technology and service business. He set up Purple WiFi, which is his current company, with the prime focus of building an enterprise guest Wi-Fi system that was end user friendly. Gavin, are you ready to take us to the top?
I'm ready and waiting.
So when I hear about an idea like Purple Wi-Fi, I think about the horrible experiences when I'm traveling internationally, and God forbid it's the Wi-Fi logon at the airport is in a different language, but I'm like, crap, how do I get from my Tokyo, the Tokyo airport to my hotel, but I can't read anything and I need to connect to the internet to get Uber, right? Are you the guy that's trying to own that moment?
It is exactly that, and that's the exact reason I decided to start the business. With the last business I had, I traveled all over the world. We had offices in 12 countries and customers in 91, so I relied on public Wi-Fi an awful lot, and it was one of those things that just got me more and more annoyed. I'd log on to a Wi-Fi somewhere, I'd come back a few months later and ask me for a username and password, and I had no idea what I'd put in. And I just thought, why isn't somebody doing this simpler? So when I sold the last business, I had a look around. Is anybody doing this? They weren't. So I thought, there's a problem, a very annoying problem here that needs solving.
Well, I can't wait to dig more into that story. Real quick, though, your history. What did you sell your last company for?
It's a considerable amount.
Give me a range. Yeah,
it was over 60 million sterling as a broad brush.
And generally, just quickly, what did that company do?
It was in the translation and interpreting business, and the key thing that we did differently was use technology. So whether that was to use machine translation engines and not like Google or MS. These were engines that were built specifically for a company or a specific project, so they were highly accurate. And then we would have humans go in and tidy up any of the mistakes that the engine had made, which meant it was a lot quicker and obviously a lot cheaper.
Why'd you sell it?
I'd done 9 years, I guess.
How old were you when you sold it?
I was, what was I, 36? Okay. Yeah, 36.
And you had bootstrapped it?
Absolutely. Back bedroom, run up a load of credit card debt, hooked up the house and the mortgage and all those good things.
So it's fair to say, I just want to get into your mental mindset when you're launching Purple Wi-Fi. That financial event for you basically set you for life. I mean, you bootstrapped it, you're good to go. You can now go take any risk you want. You choose Wi-Fi.
Correct.
Cool.
Yes.
Awesome. So, okay, let's go back to Purple Wi-Fi. Who is the incumbent in this space? Like, I get the sense there's like a lot of advertising companies trying to own that, because that's like probably the person connecting to the internet at Wi-Fi is probably like a high value household for advertisers to reach. Who's owning that space before you came in?
There was no, or then there still is no particular single owner. You've got Boingo, who are very big in airports. They focus pretty much exclusively in that area. You've got Phone, who do a lot of the domestic hotspot stuff.
How do you spell that?
It's FON.
Okay.
And I guess that typically our competitors are your traditional utility Wi-Fi players like AT&T Wi-Fi. So if you think about Wi-Fi's evolution, it wasn't that long ago you went into Starbucks, you bought the coffee and you paid for your Wi-Fi. And then it moved to, we've got Wi-Fi, they don't, so drink our coffee, to, well, if you haven't got Wi-Fi, I'm not drinking the coffee. And you had the telecoms companies that moved in to provide that. Here's a sticker in the window that says you have Wi-Fi, but there's no other benefit from it. And what we've done is taken it on its next evolution, which is, it's your Wi-Fi, it's your brand, it's your data. And by the way, we can derive a huge amount of analytics just by putting Wi-Fi in a venue, and that's yours. You own that space. So we're competing, I guess, with the traditional, Wi-Fi hotspot 1.0 to get people to understand there's a lot more that you can do with it.
And what's your revenue model? How do you make money?
So we charge on it's a SaaS-based business, so it's all in the cloud. We charge annual based on the number of Wi-Fi access points that you have. So that might be one per venue. If it was a single venue, it's about $13 a month.
Okay.
So it's not a huge amount of money. And if that, when you scale up and we do huge chains and like stadiums and airports and those, so that obviously a price per access point comes down quite a lot if you're talking about thousands of them.
So like would LaGuardia Airport be one access point?
No.
There's multiple. How many access points are in LaGuardia?
So I would imagine in there we don't do that one, but I would imagine probably about 200.
Oh wow. Okay, so these are like spread out like one every 100 feet or one every 20 feet or something like that.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, I was going to say, because this isn't a big market if every airport can only pay you $13.
Oh, well, absolutely.
Okay, so you said it's $13 kind of per installation at these different venues like airports and stadiums. And how many installations are you at to date?
We're at 17,000.
17,000, wow.
That's venues, and that ranges from a coffee shop, so like your Outback Steakhouses all run Purple, through to, Indiana Pacers or the whole of Navy Pier, places that are much bigger in scale. In fact, we cover entire cities, and we've probably got probably about 40 cities now live.
Yep. When you say, so just to make sure, when you say 17,000 venues, if LaGuardia had 200 installed, that 200 is part of the 17,000, not one.
No, that's one.
Oh, it is one.
So that we would consider that one. In terms of access points,
how many access points?
Probably about 80,000, 90,000.
80,000 access points. Wow. So you're doing about 4 per venue, something like that.
As an average, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. And so can I take the 80,000 times 13 and assume you just broke $1 million in monthly recurring revenue?
Not quite, but because we obviously discount people. Yes, absolutely.
You discount obviously as a group pricing, right?
Yeah, exactly. If somebody's buying 5,000, obviously they're going to get it cheaper than somebody buying one.
These aren't huge discounts. So what do you go down to, like $10 per venue if it's
it's
5,000?
About $7. At the real high end.
Got it. So if we put a range on MRR, we can say somewhere between 800 grand and $1 million. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Awesome.
You like your math. So.
Oh, I love math. I listen, math it has no emotion. You can't argue with it. It just is. And that's a beautiful thing, I think.
Very true.
All right.
Yes, it's pure.
Yeah, it's very pure. Okay, so how are you... This sales cycle must be painful. I imagine it's painful. What does it look like?
The sales cycle?
Yes.
It varies from an hour. If you've got a very small, sale, an hour, that, a demo, they get it. When you see the demo, it's one of them jaw drop moments. You can see a physical change in people when they realize what they could have in terms of analytics and engagement. Because if you think as a physical venue owner, you often know nothing about what's happening in that venue. And we bring the same level of intelligence as Google Analytics. So that's like a light bulb moment and engagement, so that you can engage with people in meaningful ways. So that the sale can be as little as an hour to 2 years. And it really does depend on the customer, the complexity, and their appetite for taking on new technologies.
And how are you finding them?
So we're entirely channel based. So we sell through partners, and that includes major telcos like Telstra and Singtel, and other national carriers, CenturyLink in the US and NCR. They all sell our solution bundled with their own equipment and connectivity. Okay. So that's the primary means to go to market. Although we do have a sales force that's out actively looking for end users, but then when they find them, they bring them back through one of our channel partners.
So what's your team size right now?
We're just over 100 at the moment.
And how many of those folks are focused on sales and channel partnerships?
At the moment, about 45.
Oh, wow. Okay, so pretty significant.
Yeah.
And what is so you call up one of these telcos, why don't they offer this themselves?
I mean, typically, a telco, it's buy, build, or partner, and it's the same with the equipment. They could easily go out and build a Wi-Fi access point. They don't, because, there's somebody like Cisco or Ruckus or Xeris that have spent millions in developing the best. Mm-hmm. And that's the point that we're at. And I think also with telcos, once you've got
You mean the best access point?
That's so they could build their own access points. It's not difficult. Here's a parts list.
Okay.
Here, Mr. China company, go and build me 1,000 of these. You don't do that because there's a lot of proprietary IP that a Cisco or Ruckus or other have built around what that access point does. And it's the same with our platform. To actually build it for a single telco, not only would it take years, it would be a huge investment. So it's more sensible in that scenario to partner. And the fact that we have, we've got half of the biggest service providers in the world, telcos, all basing their go-to-market around our platform.
Mm-hmm. All basing their go-to-market around your platform. What do you mean by that?
So they're typically building a managed service. So they'll build, here's the equipment, here's the connectivity, here's the service desk, and here's this really clever layer that sits over it all and brings you the real value, the business value. And they'll build that into a product and give it a name, and they'll take that out to their business customers and say, hey, Mr. Customer, here's a complete managed solution for your Wi-Fi, and it delivers all of these benefits.
Got it.
So we're one component of the equipment, the connectivity, and the analytics and engagement layer, which is where we bring the value.
What's it cost you to make one access point, to manufacture it?
Well, I mean, it's not our game. We're not in hardware.
You just buy them.
Yeah, well, we overlay. We partner with Cisco. We partner with Ruckus.
Oh, I misunderstood that. Got it. Got it. So they're the physical access points. You're your software that lays on top of them that makes the access points way more valuable.
Exactly that.
Oh, okay. I got it. So are you doing things like if a coffee shop installs you, everyone who connects to the internet and puts in their email address will go into the coffee people's CRM for deals in the future?
Yeah, that's one of the many things we do.
Got it.
We do post-visit reviews, so we've got a partnership with TripAdvisor and Trustpilot. So post-visit will prompt you to do a review of the coffee shop or the hotel. We typically see a 500% increase in TripAdvisor reviews. We see 600-700% in CRM record generation.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Social goes through the roof. So the value to it is unbelievable, and it is from day one. You switch this on, and suddenly all these metrics start going through the roof.
Yeah. What year did you launch the company in?
What was that? Sorry, Nathan.
What year did you launch the company in?
In 2013.
And what was that first year revenue? Do you remember?
It was, I think, around $200,000.
That's not bad.
No, it's a reasonable start.
Respectable. Yeah, very respectable. What'd you get that to in 2014? Do you remember?
That was up to about 600, 700.
To triple, basically tripled year over year.
Yeah.
And has that trend continued?
It obviously gets a lot harder to triple every year, but we're still, well over 100% growth,
That's good.
Last year over this, and they're on target for, probably about 140% in this financial year.
That's great. That's really great. Do you think you'll break the kind of, $15 million ARR rate by the end of 2017?
2017, I think, would probably be a push. 2018, yes.
Yeah. You'd have to, what would that be, like 1.2 million per month? Something like that? Yeah. Very good. Yeah. And then what about, do you have any weird cost structures above the line? What's your gross margin?
Gross margin, as you would expect from a SaaS company, is up, sort of 80-ish%. One of the challenges we have on gross margin is that we also do indoor location, so we're triangulating devices. So every time a device pings looking for Wi-Fi, every access point that sees it, every however many seconds, we're processing all of that data.
It's a lot.
And it's colossal amounts. We're processing many billions of data points a month.
This is an interesting question because it's a utility metric. How many people today, right now, at your current size, in one day, how many consumers connecting to a Purple Wi-Fi thing are you processing across your entire customer base or all your access points?
It's up to about 500,000.
Wow. I mean, that's said in marketing speak, you're creating 500,000 new leads for all your customers every day. Not many companies can say that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about churn? What's your gross customer churn per month?
Churn, we're actually, certainly from a revenue perspective, we're in negative churn.
Yep.
So, with expansion and
that's
increase.
Net negative, right? But what's gross customer?
Absolutely.
Gross churn.
Gross is about, it's about 12% per annum.
Per annum. Okay, that's pretty good. And when people do leave, what reason do they give you?
Typically where we see the churn is at the lower end. So from, the early days where you typically selling to your mom and pop shops, that's where we see churn because, either, they've shut down or they're probably not using the products as much as they would do. And the economics, we have customer success, but the economics of doing customer success with, a $12, a month customer just doesn't stack up. So, that is where we will typically see the churn.
And what do you, so obviously at 1%, it becomes dangerous to use an Excel sheet to do 1 divided by churn and predict lifetime value in months, but you probably have a good guess. I mean, what do you anticipate the lifetime value in dollars is for every one of these 17,000 venues you're bringing on? So
if we take out, which we do, the sub $1,000 in revenue, we're up to about 10 years or 120 months. And we also, a lot of these enterprise customers are signing up for 3 and 5 years.
You're getting people to sign 3 and 5 year contracts.
Correct.
Wow. Yes. They pay that all up front?
Yep.
They pay for a 3-year contract all up front. I'm envious. Yeah. You have no cash flow problems then. Have you raised capital?
We have, absolutely.
How much?
Yes. About $13 million.
1.3 or 3.0?
1.3.
1.3. And what does that most that capital go to? Like engineering or paid acquisition?
It's not paid acquisition, certainly. It's probably about 50-50 between engineering and sales.
Okay. And what are you, like last month, what'd you spend in paid spend? Conferences, Google ads, Facebook ads, anything like that?
I wouldn't know off the top of my head. Where we spend money is events because that's where we've seen the success.
And more or less than $250,000 per year.
Probably in that mark on events and yeah.
And how do you know what is a good event to sponsor or not?
We try it. We track the leads through Salesforce. If it converts, we'll do it again. If it doesn't, we won't.
Yeah. So on that ideal situation you just described where there's someone signing a 3-year contract paying all up front, your payback period, I imagine, is instant. But on average, what's the payback period you're aiming for, or what are you getting?
In terms of marketing spend?
Correct, but fully weighted. So that includes your salespeople. So
CAC. Yeah, so CAC, obviously you want to be sub 12, which,
12-month payback periods below that?
Yeah, correct, exactly.
Yeah. Are you?
It depends. When we go through a higher period of hiring new salespeople, and you've got obviously the ramp, which brings or distorts CAC for a while.
Yep.
So when we're going through those growth spurts, we typically go up and down with those in hiring. Then CAC will come down when, in a normalized position, yes.
Yeah, very cool. So again, if one access point is, call it $12-13 per month, you might spend up to $130 to get that access point, or about a year's worth of that access point's revenue.
Correct.
It's not that straightforward because there's other factors, but generally speaking, yeah. Interesting. And remind us again where you guys are based.
HQ is in Manchester in the UK. Our US office is in Austin.
Oh, I'm in Austin right now. That's great.
Well, there you go. The office is around the corner.
So let me, before we wrap up, this is an interesting question because I've thought about this from a marketing perspective before. If there's like a conference that I want to, like all the people there are great leads for me, and they're like, Nathan, you could sponsor the conference for $20K, but why don't I just partner with you and be the Wi-Fi provider, right? So that everyone can, like, do I have to have actual control of the physical space to pop up an access point?
Yes, you would, because you need the connectivity, but they will often, and it's probably one of them things that people don't realize the full value of it in a conference at the moment. So you could probably say, look, I'll give you $5K to sponsor the Wi-Fi, overlay our solution on it, and get tens of thousands of leads instead of a couple of hundred.
Oh my God. So, okay, I actually want to do this with you. I want to try it. We'll talk after this episode. I think this is a really interesting growth channel.
Okay, excellent.
Are there other costs besides the access point? Like, what is the Roku or the Cisco, like, actual physical thing cost?
It varies. You can get a TP link for maybe $50-$60 in a cafe type environment. In an enterprise, then your Cisco access points are probably about $1,000 each.
Yep. Well, guys, listen, if you're listening to the podcast right now, you're getting inside intel on my strategy over the next several years. I'm going to work here with, if we can work out a deal, I'm sure we will, with Gavin. And before I launch my own conference, what I'm going to do is for a year, I'm going to figure out how to open up access points at everyone else's conferences in my space, collect all the people that paid to be there. And then when I launch my own conference, those will be the people I tell about it, since I know they've paid to go to a conference before. I mean, is that right, Gavin? That's like a smart thing to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Many of you listening right now don't have time to listen to every B2B SaaS CEO that I've interviewed. If you want to get access to the database I've created with year-over-year growth rates, customer accounts, margins, and many, many other data metrics and data points, you can go to getlatka.com. Here's the thing, though. That database, I keep it to myself. It's so freaking valuable. And to preserve the quality of the data and make sure that the people that have access to it have a true advantage, I'm only letting 10 companies on each month. So we're full this month, but you can go to getlatka.com to get on the waiting list for next month. And look, there's big people on the waiting list. I mean, the biggest VCs you've ever heard of. You've probably heard of them. They're big, private equity, billions and billions under management. So it's an impressive waiting list. Go get on now at getlatka.com.
Okay, Top Tribe, I have to tell you, many people go, Nathan, you came out of nowhere. Your website's growing so fast. How'd you do it? The answer is simple. So I use HostGator. I don't know if you guys know that, but I use HostGator. And the reason I do, they have like about 4,500 free templates I can use because I don't code. They've got a great e-commerce plugin. And guys, I bug the heck out of their support. They've got 24/7 support, which I love. So what I've done is I've worked with them. You guys know I make great deals. If you go to hostgator.com/Nathan, you can sign up, get your own domain for 30% off and a 45-day money-back guarantee. Okay, again, I make great deals for you guys. Go to hostgator.com/Nathan to grab that now.
All right, there you guys have it from Gavin. Gavin, let's wrap up here with the famous five. Number one, what's your favorite business book?
I read that many. I would probably say Who Moved My Cheese. It's I
love that.
Simple one, and I do it for a book competition with the staff here. And I think the messages are very simple. The only constant is change.
Yep. Number two, is there a CEO you're following or studying currently?
Probably not. Again, I read voraciously, blogs, books, whatever I can. Well, one person I've always been very fond of is Jack Welch. Although obviously not serving now, I've read everything he's written and any blog posts I can get my hands on. So he's a bit of a favourite, you might say.
Is his stuff still relevant in this new digital world? Do you find that pattern recognition still allows you to apply his stuff to today's world?
I think there are a lot of core principles that he did. If you forget technology, forget anything, just probably more around management principles that will stand the test of time. The differentiation theory, I think that's great about constantly getting people to up the game.
Number three, is there a favorite online tool you have, like HostGator?
Insight Squared.
Number four, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
I sleep well, so probably about seven and a half.
And what's your situation? Married, single, do you have kids?
Married, and two gorgeous little girls who can sometimes be pesky, but love them to death anyway.
And how old are you?
I'm 40.
Okay, 40. So last question here, Gavin. Take us home. Take us back 20 years. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
My 20-year-old self was running my first business, which failed because of my lack of understanding of the difference between a P&L and a cash flow statement. So I wish my 20-year-old had read a bit more about finance.
There you guys have it. He wishes he would understand the difference between a P&L versus a cash flow statement earlier on. He sold his first company for about over 60 million sterling, which was, again, kind of in a different space. Then decided in 2014, 2015 to launch Purple WiFi, okay, Purple WiFi. And again, doing super well there. They've passed 17,000 venues have installed at least one access point with over 80,000 access points. Average access point is 11, 12, 13 bucks per month. So they're doing between 800 grand and $1 million in MRR. Growing, this year they'll grow, we call it 140% year over year. Gross churn monthly is about 1%, but they have net negative revenue churn. Payback period, he's always aiming for less than 12 months, but some of his, good fit customers, lifetime value, he's projecting it well over $100,000 with his team of 100 in Manchester, UK, fighting hard to make your public Wi-Fi connections easier. Gavin, thank you for taking us to the top.
Thank you very much.
If you enjoyed Gavin today, go back and listen to Tomer yesterday. Tomer tells us how he used an open source project as lead gen to launch what is now a $3 million annual recurring company business. A lot of people would pity on this, but he used that open source project to really generate great revenue. Tune in to find out how he did it.